How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Vel Ohio, and I've got some different content for you this week. If you've been a long-term subscriber to the channel, you might remember this video from last year.
Well, that's some impressive stuff. I'll have to do the race at some point. I've signed up and been unable to do the race for various injury and COVID reasons in the past, but I don't know. I'll be 40 next year. Maybe that's a good excuse, a good time to do it.
Now, I've always wanted to run the marathon, but it seems like I would always have too many injuries from the triathlon season over the course of the summer. I've signed up for it 3 times, but would have to drop out from the injuries, or I had to drop out the one time because the race was canceled for COVID. But this year, I've actually strung together 16 weeks of pretty consistent training, and it's Friday the 14th, and I'll be running the race on Sunday the 16th. Now, why do I think you would find this interesting on a cycling channel? I was looking at different training plans to attack this marathon because I didn't want to just do it. I've actually done one marathon, if you can call it that, over the course of a 2014 Ironman, but when you do a standalone marathon, it's a completely different beast. Just surviving the end of an Ironman, so that you're not walking and crawling your way to the finish line, and actually attacking a marathon with a very specific goal is a different process. So scouring the internet for different plans, I wanted to find one that would speak to me as a cyclist and multi-sport athlete. I knew that with my injury history, with my Achilles and my knees, I didn't want to necessarily do a plan that would involve 5 to 6 days a week of running. I didn't want to encounter that kind of monotony with my training plan, and I just honestly didn't think that my body would hold up to it. So a book that I stumbled upon and have taken my training plan from is called Run Less, Run Faster. Now, what sets this training plan apart from other training plans is their 3+2 training model. Now, what they believe is that having 3 focused running workouts and then 2 days of cross training is as effective or even more effective than, let's say, 5 to 6 days a week training. Now, that really speaks to me as a multi-sport athlete training for duathlon. I'm actually pretty used to doing 3 days of running, 2 to 3 days of cycling per week. What they really want to eliminate are any junk miles that are thrown into the program that aren't actually going to give you any fitness improvements. The way that the training program works is that you have to take a race-ready pace at the beginning of the season and extrapolate that over the course of 26 miles to give yourself a realistic finishing time. All your workouts are based upon that initial 5K or 10K race effort that you perform as a bit of a baseline at the beginning of the season. So I went out to my track, I did a 5K effort all out at about 21:45, and that served as my baseline to set my pacing zones for repeat track intervals, 400, 800, 1,000 meter effort repeats. It also set my training zones for short tempo, medium tempo, and long tempo runs that would fall somewhere between 4 and 9 miles, and then it would set my marathon pace for the long days on the weekend. That might be 10 miles plus 30 seconds to your marathon pace, or 15 miles plus 15 seconds to your marathon pace. But at the end of the day, the idea is that the runs have to be very specific. They wouldn't want you to deviate by 1 or 2 seconds off your target times during your track intervals, or 1 or 2 seconds off your tempo paces on those medium days. So what you end up with are 3 different kinds of runs. 1 day of low volume, high intensity, 1 day of medium volume with medium intensity, and 1 day of high volume with low intensity. Now, it's also very important that you supplement those runs with 2 cardiovascular training, cross-training sessions. So for me, that was a no-brainer. I would do the cycling workouts, and as a cyclist, I found them to be pretty easy, but that's okay. The idea is that you want to be on your 8+ game whenever it came time to run. So for me personally, it predicted that my marathon pace would be 8 minutes and 6 seconds per mile, putting a marathon finish time to be 3 hours and 32 minutes. I could not believe 16 weeks ago that I would be able to do that. It just seemed kind of a pie-in-the-sky idea. It didn't seem realistic to me, but as I went through the workouts, I noticed that I could actually finish most of them a little bit faster than what was prescribed by my 21-minute, 45-second 5K time. So I set myself a more ambitious goal to actually try to run 8-minute miles. That would put me just below 3.5 hours for the marathon, which is appealing to me because 3.5 hours, it's not really a round number, but it's more of a benchmark to say sub 3:30. That's more appealing to me than, oh, I got 3:32. The added bonus for me is that usually there are pacers out there at 1 minute or even 30-second intervals, so I feel like if I can just take the pacing out of my mental effort and just follow the 8-minute pacer, that should get me there right at 8-minute miles, just under that 3.5-hour marathon finish time. So I won't bore you with too many more details regarding that book, but I've really found it helpful as a multi-sport athlete, as a cyclist, to find a running program that incorporates some cross-training. It helped with the monotony. It really made me feel like that the runs were very focused and very purpose-driven, and I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it. As far as my adherence to the training program, I lost about 7 or 8 days at one point just from a sore Achilles, and I felt like if I took the time off just to recover fully, I'd be able to hop right back into the program. But across the course of the 16 weeks, I've really only missed those 7 or 8 days. So hopefully I can catch up with you guys on the other side of this video. For real A-priority races in the past, I've tended to grow my beard out and dye it red for race day. I figure if you look that conspicuous, you have to be fast. You don't want to be the guy walking up the side of the road with a big red beard looking like a fool. If you're going to look like a fool, you better be fast. So I want to check in with you guys after the race. Maybe I'll even get some race photos or race footage to show you, but hopefully I can tell you that I pulled off a 3:29 40-second marathon, but who's counting? All right, wish me luck. Oh man, welcome to race morning. I slept on the couch because I didn't want to wake anybody else up, but that was not a great night's sleep. Oh, how do you like my beard, by the way? Usually before a big event, I just find myself drifting off to sleep, and then I just kind of jolt awake. It's like my body's trying to tell me, you fool, don't you know you're supposed to be guarding the castle? Stay awake, there's something big going on. So anyway, I don't think I really fell asleep until about 12:30. I think 12:30 to 3. I had some decent sleep and then kind of tossed and turned, but that's okay. I've been here before. I don't need great sleep for a decent performance, so just time for breakfast. I'll head out of here around 5:50, be down by the race maybe at like 6:15, then race at 7:30. So 5:30 here, just about to head out, and I think I'm ready. Race bib, check. Deadpool shirt, check. Unicorn, check. Can you yank my shoelaces?
Yeah.
Make them tight?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Love you.
I'm not taking this.
Love you. Bye.
You just did this.
It's okay. That's all you wanted. Say, go dad. Say, go dad.
Go, Dad!
Ryder.
Go, Dad!
All right. So it's about 2 o'clock. I finished up the marathon 3 hours ago, and I'm doing my best Frankenstein impersonation right now. That was fairly intense. So if I run you through it, yeah, I was up around 4:30. I checked in with you there. Got down to the race right at 6. The corrals opened at 6, but I just wanted to get there. Well, I wanted to wake up early enough to actually eat breakfast and digest it so that I could use those calories in the race. But I was there pretty early, so I could leisurely use the porta potties. I could start loading up on some caffeine. I haven't had caffeine in 5 weeks, so I had about 300 milligrams today, 100 before, an hour before the race, 100 at race start, and then 100 about 90 minutes into the race. I had two hydration bottles that had about 30 grams of carbohydrates apiece of Gatorade Endurance, and then I had 2 Science and Sport gels that each have 22 grams of carbs. So I thought that would get me, about 3 hours into the race, and they had ample nutrition on the course. I just didn't want to have to rely on, some mixture of powder that didn't come out the right way, or waiting in line to get nutrition, because I really was sticking to my specified pace. Well, that's not true. I was hoping to stick to my specified pace of 8-minute miles. That was going to get me sub 3:30. So right off the bat, I found here's my medal, by the way. I'm wearing that so people know why I'm walking like I am. Right off the bat, I found the 3:30 pacer, and they shot out early. I think they shot out early as in fast. I think just to kind of stay ahead of the pack, but they were doing 7:50s, so I, stayed at my 8-minute pace. Now, traditionally, I've always trained with heart rate monitoring, so I'm very used to what my zone 2 capacity is. Zone 2, using a higher percentage of fat stores, an aerobic pace, something that you can sustain for several hours. Once you tap into more of a tempo pace, you can't really sustain that for more than maybe 2 or 3 hours. So I noticed that I was running 740s, 737s, 736s, and around mile 5, I just had to make a decision. Am I going to go faster than planned and blow the plan up just because it feels okay? Am I going to, bank time at the beginnings to offset blowing up later? Or should I just stick to the pacing plan? And this, for me, I really wanted it to be a one and done race. I don't want to do several marathons. I really wanted to get below 3:30 and, if possible, even do better than that, so that I could just say, hey, been there, done that, sub 8-minute miles, sub 3:30. So everything was going very well. My wife and kids were out there at mile 20 just to take my fuel belt and hand me a Gatorade at that point. The biggest pain that I had to that point, and at mile 20 I had done all sub 8-minute miles, were my feet. I was wearing my triathlon race shoes that actually have elastic laces in them, and I had used them in training, but not for more than 15 miles. And it just so happened that around mile 14, they just weren't tight enough, so I was getting a lot of friction on the ball of my foot, so I had 2 terrible hot spots. So I don't know if it came out in the video, but I just asked my wife, Al, can you tighten my laces just so that they'd be tighter and alleviate that? And that worked for a couple miles until about mile 22, which is when the wheels fell off significantly, figuratively, but significantly. Both of my solii, so my soleus muscle, which is your slow twitch portion of your calf, it's a little bit below your calf, but it connects right into the Achilles. It only performs that toe down motion. It doesn't have the knee flexion motion like your gastroc does. More so the right side, and even into my plantar fascia, I think from the shoes being a little loose, they were just starting to cramp up, and that really docked my pace. I immediately went up to 8:30s, 8:40s, because I was just constrained by not cramping. I could try to go faster and then need to walk for half a mile, and that was just going to ruin my hopes of going sub 3:30. So from mile 22 to mile 26, I only had one sub 8-minute mile, and right at mile 25 and a half, the 3:30 pacer ran by me, and I was thinking, no, they're gonna catch me at the line here. So I had been way out in front of them, and they finally caught me. I'm just hemorrhaging time. So I really tried to put it together and managed to hang with them. And then probably 800 meters before the line, one of the guys who was with the group said, hey guys, just enjoy it. We're way ahead of pace. I was thinking, okay, so I didn't have to kill myself. But as it was, I did 3:28 and change, which put me at a 7:59 pace and put me sub 3:30. So check the pace, check the total time. That is probably it for standalone marathons for me. Not that I wouldn't run 26.2 miles, but I feel like if you're going to do that, you just shouldn't try to do it as fast as you can. It's too far to go so fast. At least that's how I feel. What else on the day? I was wearing my Deadpool shirt, and over again people kept saying, look, it's a bearded Spider-Man, and the only muscle in my body that still worked was my tongue, so I kept yelling, no, it's Deadpool. And then finally, mile 23, some guy said to me, thank you very much, Mr. Poole. You're doing great. I was like, wow, that's, I guess it's a tribute, so it doesn't matter if it's not PC, since he was a white dude, but that really cracked me up. That gave me a morale boost. So, no, great day. No regrets. 16 weeks of hard training. Could I have done 325? Maybe if I hadn't missed those 10 days for my Achilles injury. Maybe if I had slept more than 3 hours last night. Maybe if I stopped to pee so that I could better process all the, Gatorade and gels that I was consuming, maybe I wouldn't have cramped up. I mean, even my arms were cramping up. I had to run like the T-1000 in Terminator 2, deep cut. But no, it's a great day. Just went to Grande Cafe. I haven't been there since pre-COVID. Got a fried chicken, eggs Benedict, and a blueberry pancake. I would have gotten a coffee, but I've already had over 300 milligrams today. So just out here watching my daughter's soccer game. Got to get back to that. And then I'll glue myself to the chair at home, watch a little Patriots. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a new experience for me, and I can't believe that I've been doing these videos for over a year. So if you were an early subscriber, thank you for sticking around. Hopefully you enjoy the content. If you have any suggestions, get involved in the comments, and I'll see you next time.